Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Phoenix podcast, here to give you tips for NBL SuperCoach. I'd like to start off by wishing everyone a very happy new year and all the best wishes for 2024. Hopefully you've enjoyed copious amounts of food, friends, family, and fun over the last couple of weeks. Now let's jump in and review round 13 of NBL SuperCoach. We had a pretty disappointing round, scoring only 360 points, which had us drop 31 places to rank 182nd overall. There wasn't really much thought of going for the other two Adelaide guys. I got DJ early and wanted Wiley for the DPP and his ceiling. Unfortunately, they just chose to stink it up this week and the other two dominated. We managed to hold our lead in the Podmasters Cup head-to-head league, but we've just been overtaken in the Open League. Massive shout out to the new leader, our friend Verns from Verns SuperCoach, who also took out the weekly prize for the highest scoring team of the round. Nice little cash kitty to start off the new year. He brought in the right Adelaide pair, which was rewarded for his future planning. Congratulations, mate. Very well deserved. Speaking of the Adelaide 36ers, there were some big things coming out of that game. We had the first triple-double of the season courtesy of Trey Kell, who had a polarising round with a poor first game and then the best individual game of the season when he came up against the Hawks. Another big thing from that game actually comes from a personal space. I was lucky enough to be selected to take part in the three-quarter time shooting competition. Essentially, if you hit a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and then a half-court shot, you win a brand new car. I'll be honest though, the nerves did get to me, and I missed an uncharacteristic amount of free throws. I think I went 1 of 4 or something like that. Then hit the three-pointer and had a few cracks at the half-court shot. Got close, but unfortunately no cigar there. It was great fun hitting some shots on the same court as my dear Hawks, lifelong dream, and getting to do that in front of a sold out crowd is an amazing bucket list experience that I won't ever forget. Back to the real players though, and only 2 teams on the double this week, Sydney and Melbourne. Sydney have back-to-back doubles and 3 out of the next 4, so it could be good to bring in some Kings. This week also marks the end of that incredible Cairns run of doubles, so if you haven't already, it's time to start moving them on as well. With that in mind, let's take a look at some players to potentially trade in or out in our buy, sell, keep, and avoid segment. The buy are players who I think are good options to trade in if you don't already have them. Sell, players that I think are options to trade out if you do own them. Keep are players that are being traded out by the others in the competition, but I think you should consider keeping. And avoid are players that are being traded in by others in the competition, but I think you should consider avoiding. At the time of recording, it hasn't even been 24 hours since the game opened, so there's only limited data to work with in terms of who has been traded in and out so far, but I have to record a little bit early as I'm going away on a trip tomorrow, so hopefully we've got enough data, but we're going to work around that. Our buy. Jalen Adams. There are some great options for trade-ins from the Kings, but with most of us having multiple Cairns guard, he's the perfect piece to pivot to. He may not have the highest ceiling in the competition, but he has been extremely consistent, only going under 30 3 times this season. Sell. Cairns players. It's been one hell of a ride, but the dream Cairns run has come to a close. After having 6 doubles in a row, and also in 8 out of the last 9 rounds, the Taipans have just won in the final 7 rounds of the season. With only 2 teams on the double this week, it's not the end of the world if you have some left on your bench and you can't move them on all in one go, or even having one of Miller or McCall starting for you on court this week. But I think you should be aiming to move out at least one of them and potentially a bench one if your team allows. The next few weeks could be very handy to use boosts if you have one or even more remaining. Keep. DJ Vasiljevic. Now, as an early buyer on DJ, it was definitely unders for what I think we were expecting of him this week. He did get a bit unlucky with some turnovers or teammates missing good looks for assists, but 38 on a double from a premium isn't what we needed at all. I do expect someone with his pride and level of skill to bounce back though. After this week though, Adelaide have got back-to-back doubles and 3 in 4 weeks. If you can take a slight hit in price drop, he could be a very handy hold for that period, which is exactly what I plan to do with him. Avoid Trey Kell. Now, it seems extremely unkind to put a man that has just hit the first triple-double of the year and has a break-even of just 0 in this category, but unless you're pretty set for this week, I wouldn't be looking at Kell. Just like DJ, if you have him, you can definitely hold him though, but I wouldn't be bringing him in. He comes up against the best defence in the league, against everyone but Cairns apparently, in Melbourne United. They do have a decent run home, but there are other teams with guard options that have either just as good or a better run that we can soon turn our attention to. I'm looking at you, PJC and Bryce Cotton. With only 2 teams on the double this week, our captain choices come from Melbourne and Sydney. The 4 guys I'd be looking at are Jalen Adams, DJ Hogue, Luke Travers, and JLA. Despite an average performance last week, I'm backing in the big fella here. Travers is a stat sheet stuffer and has a great ceiling. Just look at that 50-point performance from his last time out against the Kings. DJ Hogue is in some great form, with 8 out of his 12 games being 30 plus, and only 2 of the ones that weren't being under 27. As mentioned in the buy segment, Adams is so consistent and his floor is exceptional. He is the safe captaincy option along with Hogue, but if you're chasing ceiling, I'd be looking at one of the United guys. Our trades last round ended up being very frustrating. It was Crawford and Sarr out for Wiley and Bolden. I needed DPP for Sarr in that centre position, so Bolden came in, and hopefully he can put up some scores over the Kings run coming up. But Wiley, man, that was disappointing. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I hit more shots at the Wynn Entertainment Centre on New Year's Eve than Jacob Wiley did. How ridiculous is that? We've got a lot of the team dropping in cash, so I'm actually tempted to move on Wiley after that insipid performance. I had the options of keeping Sauce on the single and hoping JLA doesn't go huge or making the trade across. If I hold Sauce, then Wiley is out. But if I make the move, I'll be getting in Jalen Adams for one of the Cairns guards. I've been tossing up whether to use my final boost or not this week, and I'm really undecided with that. There's pros and cons. Obviously, we can move out a Cairns guy or someone that is dropping in cash significantly a lot earlier and get better set up with potentially some Illawarra guys. But I don't know if it's worth it on a week where you're not going to be getting a lot of points or probably cash gen bang for your buck. As always, though, I'll post the final moves on X, so if you aren't already, make sure to be following us at FantasyPhoenix_. Thank you so much everyone for listening or watching, depending on where you tuned in. If you enjoyed the video or it was helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel on YouTube, or tap that follow button on Spotify to be up to date for when we upload the new episodes. It's very much appreciated. Next week I'm going to be away and won't have access to the PC for a normal podcast, but I was thinking of doing a mobile live stream on YouTube. You know, I could be running through my team, how we went, potential moves, and a bit of a Q&A, which would hopefully take up the bulk of the live as well. If that's something that people would be interested in, let me know either in the comments below or on X. If we are going to go ahead, I might also make a post for people to leave in questions in the lead up, if you can't make the live stream, then that way I can still answer your question and you can watch it back, and hopefully it can help you and some others around there as well. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it next week. Good luck for round 14, everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.